All right. Greetings and hello once again. This is part three of the story about my recent journey with Claude Code. In this segment, we're going to be going through one of the projects that I used this new system to create. It's not done yet, still a work in progress. My usage stalled out, and so I had to wait for that to refresh before I could actually get back to work, and that should happen here in the next hour. So bugs, look out, we're on our way. But I did want to share this, given the information provided in the other two parts, to kind of give an example of what's actually coming out of this crazy, UAT swarm of development on one side and user acceptance testing on the other, both being driven by Claude Code CLI sessions. So this was the repo itself. It is a private repo. So if you try to get to here, you're probably going to get a 404 unless you've asked me to be a contributor and I can add you in here. But I want to explain a little bit about the project first, just so you have a bit of an idea of what you're looking at, right? Let's rummage. So what go-virt is, to help with context, is like a system to manage QEMU-based virtual machines. In my lab, I use libvirt, and it's fine. It's good even, right? I've written some helper scripts and little things to make it better for my use case and make it easier to use. But it's one of a few options that are out there in that space. But I've always wanted something that was a little different. So I want to say I've had a few false starts over the years trying to create something like this. Just a QEMU-based virtual machine management system, something I can manage my lab VMs with nice and easily. I want to plug Terraform into it. I just want my own little VM manager, right? It'd also be pretty cool if I could cluster my compute hosts because I do have multiple machines in my lab. QEMU does provide all of the facilities and features to do that. So I figured with these newfound superpowers, right? Why not take a big swing? So I dove in again, this time into a just pretty much empty project. I created the repo for this purpose. And we got started this time in a language that I can't even hello world in without breaking out the book. So it was a little daunting, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. I created this Git repo. There was a README and a project.md initially, and then I started Claude in the repo directory and set it to init. After a little round and round with that, getting everything lined up, our first commit that actually went in to the repo was this generated ClaudMD file, a nice git ignore file. The ClaudMD is generated by that Claude init. It reads what's present in the repo and just kind of cobbles some stuff together. Do go through and what's it called? Summarize it. I guess make it more efficient. It does eat up a lot of context room, usually the way it's generated by default. But if you're just getting started with Claude Code CLI, I wouldn't even worry about it too much at first. Just make sure you do have a Claude.md, make sure it's accurate, and worry about optimizing it later. So with the Claude.md, I also submitted this project.md, where I'll just click on it here. There we go. That is just a brainstorming session, right, of what I wanted to build. The dream solution in this space for me, right? It's got all the good stuff, all the bells and whistles. Just pour it all in. But then we put an MVP constraint of, because I want to have my new toy to play with, right away. So we put the MVP constraint to keep the bare bones deliverable achievable early on. So Claude was able to ingest this project.md and this bare bones README, a couple of lines there, to create the Claude.md. And this is what it had to go on. From there, over the next 2.5 to 3 days, we filled in the rest of this project, right? Quite a bit of info here. README is still a little thin, not a big deal, because it's just for me at the moment. Some docs and things in here still we've got. Yep, how to install the stuff. Host prerequisites are covered. The native packaging. We use Just instead of Makefiles. I didn't even know Just existed until a couple of projects before this, and I like it a little better. It seems to be something that fits the bill without having to get all weird in Makefiles. Yeah, it's producing all of this, it being Claude. I ask for it in the CLI, and it starts producing. I didn't have to say, hey, I want documents that spell this out exactly. I just had to tell it, document this project appropriately. And whenever I find things missing, I file an issue to fill in the gap. Again, I don't write the document, I just tell it where the gap is. Problem solved. So all of this came together, I said, over a couple of days. Let's see here. And we're going to take a look at the initial commit. Here's our current open issues board, right? It's a little busy. I'm filing issues. UAT is filing issues. Sometimes I'll be talking to the dev team lead session and be like, oh, hey, go ahead and create an issue for this. So we're all creating issues. But I had mentioned coordinating the sessions via GitHub issues. This was not the first example, but it was the first example where I had the dev lead and the UAT lead sessions working together across the domains, right? Where the dev team could work on all 3 domains and the UAT team would test everything that dev threw their way. I was actually getting ready to crash out this evening whenever it was coming up, and I wanted to set them up with a way to continue on through the evening. It came up with a comment protocol, how to get the communication started, and then, the current, what was known, and then the status, right? And you can see here, it still posts as me, but the UAT lead is responding with some information about what's going on. The dev lead is coming back. Oh, handshake, here we go, protocol ACK. We're getting some things taken care of, right? Plenty of information, a little bit of information overload, frankly, but I do love a verbose issue and PR, right? They're explaining what's going on in parallel. The UAT lead responding again, describing some changes that happened inside the environment. And again, like I said, these are all written by the agent sessions. I'm not writing this, even though it's showing up here by me. That's the GitHub fine-grained pat that gives Claude Code CLI access to this repo to be able to manage these issues. So this went on, I want to say they stalled out around 5 a.m. I woke up at 8, came in and got them going again. But it got through this particular session and helped me kind of refine some of the others. Try to scroll to the bottom here to see if we can see where we signed off with the release. Yeah, there we go. We went to the next, the Alpha 16 coordination issue. So we went from this issue to the next because I noticed in the overnight, if we stayed in one single coordination issue, the responses were going to get a little long. So we broke out for Alpha.16 another coordination cycle, right? And what I started doing is for each release, we'll create a new coordination cycle so that each release we can kind of see exactly the plan and the operations and the thinking that went into what came out of that to produce the actual artifacts attached to the release in GitHub. Same kind of stuff going on through here. Dev lead doing the handshake, acknowledging what's going on. UAT coming back. Just different exchanges of information. They're asking for a retriage on this detach. That came from, what was that, the lead in UAT. So to really go through all of this, it would take forever, right, to relate the info to you. But I think you see what I'm talking about as far as the two sessions collaborating together while I'm not even at the keyboard. For the alpha.17 cycle, I want to say .16 ran almost to completion. I had to answer one question when I woke up, and then the test finished and the release posted. A couple of edits to the Claude.md and our process, and empowering the session to make an architectural decision like that while marking a backout point is another way that I can kind of handle that. So it's still working with figuring out how all of those things work and trying to keep it going without me being present, just so I can review the releases as they come out and play with the toys that this thing is creating, right? Let's see here. I guess speaking of playing with the toys, let me go to see the bottom of this alpha release here. Yeah, ship confirmed. They signed off. There was something in here where there was even a congratulations. Like a nice job on finding that bug. I found it humorous, so I wanted to share it, but I'm having trouble finding it. Talking about carry forward issues, stuff that did get solved. I'm probably just reading right past it. Anyway, I will switch on. This one is still in progress. We were in the middle of this issue when I ran into my usage limit last week. And there was some bridging issues. We're trying to get something I'm calling virt netbroker D working that will take requests from the main daemon to make network changes on the host and apply them. This will let us manage Linux bridges, OVS bridges, and TAP management to attach our VMs to specific networks. And once I get that going, I'm even thinking about plugging it in and seeing if I can do web-based GUI VXLAN management. That'll be fun. We'll find out when we get there. For now, it's still very much in the MVP state. Oh, I left it logged in. Let me sign back out. I do have a session into the host here. We would grab the Bootstrap admin secret there, and I can cat it pretty easily. This is our login password. And this machine that it's running on is a libvirt host in my lab right now. I'm running the release version of go-virt on there just to see. I want to make sure that go-virt can stay co-located with libvirt so that they don't fight each other for resources as part of the work that I'm doing. But my hope is that on the other side of this incoming weekend, maybe I'll be able to replace libvirt in my lab. To do that, I'll have to solve some of the network issues that I'm running into. We've got all kinds of stuff that we're pulling back from the hosts about, the system information itself. You can filter it down to see physical interfaces. You got bridges, bonds, which you don't have any of, VLANs, none yet, and virtual interfaces, right? Our OVS stuff shows up here and some other Linux bridge stuff. All right. Pools. These are storage pools, right? For cloud images and virtual disks. Right now, I've only got local pools. I'm going to aim for network file systems once it's all working. Disks. These are the VM disks. Yeah, each of these links back to one of those instances that we saw on that first page here. And yeah, VM disk. What else is there to say about it? Images themselves are the cloud images that we can use when we bring up a new VM instance on the host. You can upload images to the available image storage pools. And host storage, we can see the actual host storage, what's in there, you know. And then some system information, the build we're running of go-virt, what Go version's out there, the version of the OS we're running on, kernel that's out there, what mode this particular deployment is in. Is it systemd or is it in a child process? And that has to do with like where the virtual instances are actually running underneath virtd. I'm trying to get everything to work underneath systemd ephemeral unit so that a lot of the security concerns and I guess not security, but can't think of the word I'm thinking about, but basically being able to keep things separate, this VM from that VM in the event something were to escape from that VM. So yeah, all kinds of neat stuff in here, and it is functional at this point. Like I can come in here and create an instance, test mine. Local pool is fine. We're going to use slurp mode because the NAT mode and bridge mode are not working yet due to that aforementioned virt netbroker D problem. I'll throw 2 CPUs in there, 2 gigs of memory, 20 gigs of disk space. Let's grab an all Linux 10 one. I'm going to leave my default cloud init stuff in there. I'm going to add some more cloud init stuff in there too, but this is right now just to get us access into these machines that we're creating. And we also dynamically generate a root password for these right now, and I can fetch that from the host. Not very useful in a real production-like type hypervisor or VM manager, but for what I'm doing, very helpful. So I click create here, wait for it to do its thing, click start here, and got some little host side admin helpers here. We'll grab this, and that will let us go to the host and grab our console password for this new VM. Grab that, and oh, that's right, we have web login too. You can see what else is going on here. It's in slurp mode, but I can still ping out. So like if this just needed to be some type of developer test, sure, I could do that. Why would I do that when there's Docker and Podman? But yeah, all of this was really cool. And frankly, a surprise when it just started working. I've got graphical console in here too, right? So that it's already working. Click in the window, and it's already working. And I don't think I can paste in that window. Yeah, I can only paste in the serial console. But I'm just a couple of bug fixes away from getting those other instance types to work, and maybe 1 weekend away from being able to replace libvirt in my lab with go-virt. And I'm also developing that Terraform provider alongside of it, so that dream of mine can finally come true, hopefully. Yeah. See if there's anything else I wanted to cover here. Oh, we didn't touch on documentation. Let me stop that. And I think I have this up at there. Yeah. So we're using, what was this that I found? Sensical. I guess it's something that's going to be replacing MK materials because of the MK docs 2.0 whatever. So that's what I started using. I wasn't sure what the right tooling here was, but it's doing a good job of keeping everything lined up. It doesn't seem as natural to keep the docs updated in this with Go as it did in one of my Python projects that I've been using Claude on, actually. And that's one of the ones I clicked on pretty much on accident just a second ago, this TKCLV lab thing. This is a public project, actually, under my memblin slash TKC-LV lab-pi, that it's one of those wrappers I was talking about for libvirt. I built this middle of last year, something like that, just kind of scraped it together because I was using libvirt a lot for testing, and I needed a new way to give it configuration information from the start. And so I built this and got it pretty much to where I needed it. And then it kind of got a little stale. And I was able to circle back with Claude Code, dive in here, convert it to a UV project, update a lot of things, fix a few things. I yanked out the libvirt library because distributing Python packages that compile against C libraries kind of sucks. And I started doing everything through sub-processes. But basically, Claude helped me in the same weekend while I was working on go-virt, not only update LD Lab to the get rid of some of the outstanding issues. I believe I've got some more in here from Dependabot, right? Yeah, so we'll need to bump those this weekend at some point. But it also helped me integrate some other tooling in here that I had for one-off VMs. So now LV Lab includes a create VM and a delete VM, quick one-off stand-up thing that lets me put static IPs on these machines that I'm standing up when I'm running local tests. So Claude helped me out there as well. And I had a third project going as well, but I'm not quite ready to share that one with the world. I'll keep everybody that knows me in the loop on go-virt. And if anybody's got any questions about it, I'm happy to answer all of it. I do think I will probably record restarting this weekend's development sessions in Claude Code once I'm actually ready to do that. But I've been having trouble with the encoder on my laptop. That's why I'm recording on my Windows machine for a change. For whatever reason, that encoder was crashing out every time I tried to do these recordings, and if I can fix that, I'll be able to record exactly what it looks like when these two Claude Code sessions get back to work on Alpha 17. See you then.